lucky I got the guy
to
from
the
Sox.
game at Miller Stadium and we just went to.
So we were like,
You try to go together.
right. Yeah. And then I saw it at Wrigley.
It was just,
The time is 7:38. Go, let's go. Can we to go to the session?
Where's the Sox?
I know. They're on the couch.
Oh, wait, we already moved, do we need to move?
Call this meeting to order. We call this meeting to order at 7:38. Go, let's go. Let me do a quick roll. Herb Johnson. Here. Ross Griffin. Here. Spurlock is absent. Moore. Here. Perez. Here. Kim. Here. Carney.
Here.
Meeting multiple. All right, so,
no public comment.
no public comment. Oh, I'm sad about that.
We need a motion for action item memorandum of agreement with the OPTA
I
for
gotta-
robotics coach.
What Griffith said.
I move that the Board of Education of Oak Park Elementary School District 97 approve the memorandum of agreement with OPTA as outlined.
Second.
Ross Griffin.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Carney.
Yes. Sorry. I thought I didn't catch that you said my name.
Spurlock is absent. Kim.
Yes.
Herb Johnson. Yes. Moore. Yes. Motion passed. All right, superintendent search process update. Gavin and Becky have taken the lead on this, so would you lovely people give us a quick update?
I don't mind getting us started.
Go for it.
So, obviously we did our call for proposals. By the 3rd of October, we did receive 5 proposals total. 6 proposals total, totally can count.
I came in one day.
And we can go over just, we did have a rubric to review those, and looking at all the different criteria, we can go over that, but the ones we did receive were from School Exec Connect, Minerva Group, IASB proposal, HYA, Education Leadership Solution, and BWP and Associates proposal.
I'm sorry, Dr. Brown, can you read out the
The
full
full
name?
names? Okay, so BWP is, give me 1 second while I pull that up.
Just
And not in any particular order. Yeah, actually, that one, go ahead, Kevin.
It's just BWP and Associates.
Okay.
Thank you. I think maybe I did another acronym, which was HYA, so give me 1 second.
Has
Thank you.
EDLS and IASB.
So Illinois,
Association of School Boards
yeah,
and Educational Leadership Solutions.
and that one was the full name. And I said School Exec Connect, right?
Yes.
So those are the ones that we received by the end of last week. We have not decided to cast a wider net. This sounds like the candidates or the proposals that we have. We did have a rubric to kind of organize the key pieces that are pretty standard for all proposals. Most of the board members are familiar with it. I'll go over the ones, that were just informative to me and maybe to the public. So looking at experience and track record, so a lot of, all of those were included, in terms of the percent of, hires they've had, how long they've had them. And so we would rate them from like no experience to extensive, strong track record. Also looking at understanding of district needs, whether someone created a whole profile for us that talked about our demographics and our, vision, et cetera. Again, whether they're aligned and or have a deep tailored understanding was something we were looking for as well. Recruitment strategies, so whether they're using focus group surveys, how they would kind of cast a wide net in terms of the diversity of the pool that they would be including in terms of community engagement, candidate screening and vetting, so from social media accounts to like publications to previous employments. Even saw someone mention, would you like to visit their job site? We can arrange that. Community engagement was already talked about. It kind of overlaps over there with understanding the district needs, and the recruitment strategy was also about, looking at what the community is saying, whether they had equity, diversity, inclusion focus, So whether they had any EDI, they called it equity, diversity, and inclusion. I know we're moving away from that vocabulary, but to us, given our equity mission, it is important looking at whether they included it in their proposal or whether it's not really a big part of their search. Some of the companies actually stated that they also have their own equity, approach, and that's important to historically how they've worked with other districts. Communication and transparency, again, that was a little bit harder to rate, but I'll say that the purpose was like, how often are they in communication? Are they talking to community members, board members? How often we're kind of getting together to create things together, whether it's the publication and announcement or the advertising, whether it's the survey questionnaires, there's all these different sorts of communication. Then looking at timeline and project management. So whether it was unclear or rushed, clear, well managed was obviously the best. Many of them had very similar timelines. Most of them were looking at ending by February. Maybe one pushed us out into March. Cost and value, they ranged, but we're looking at fees, whether it was clearly stated, standard pricing, transparent. That would be one in which I can transparently say I would not know the range of that without like Googling and searching, but there was a very big range from like 19,000 or so to about 10,000 was one as low.
60,000.
To 60,000.
Yeah, I was guessing what this
66,000, I think I calculated.
30%
30% of the salary in the first year. And then looking at post-hire support. So basically, do they provide any hours of support as part of their proposal in the first year? And most of them would say, like, for the first 100 days, some of them had guarantees. That's not included in the rubric, but I wonder if we can talk about that as well. So there's 10 kind of components we all looked at, and with those 6 different proposals, I know it would be helpful for maybe Gavin, if you had any idea about how to kind of start off that conversation and have some thoughts. But did you want to?
I think we're doing that in closed session.
Okay. But so these are the ones that we have right now. Ms. Moore, President Moore.
All right, thank you. You want to share now?
I just wanted to say thank you to Judy for coming up with a great rubric to be looking at these. We can again coordinate our pieces. So thank you,
I appreciate you saying that it was good because it was smooth. We just went with it.
That you covered all the bases in a very thorough manner. So thank you both for all of your hard work putting together the rubric.
I will just quickly add that I suspect we'll pick somebody soon, and one of the first things that will happen once we do is that a sort of timeline and work plan will be published, and that will include the specific opportunities that folks will have to both learn about the process and engage in the process, both in helping us develop the profile for an ideal candidate and in potentially reviewing specific candidates as well.
I would also say yesterday it came up in our PTOC meeting. They talked about internal candidates. So everyone has an opportunity to apply. So if you know, I'm like talking to you two somewhere. Sure. But if there are folks that you know of that are interested in the role, you feel like a good fit for the role, please have them apply. We go with the search firm because we have other things on our calendars. And so for us to be able to do a search would just be impossible. And we want to give it the attention and the robust process that it deserves. And so that's why we go with the search firm. But that doesn't preclude people from applying. It doesn't mean that you have to like sign up with a certain search firm. We also think that they have a bigger expertise than we have. So once we identify a search firm, then we'll know more about the process. I've gotten a lot of questions about what's the process? What are you going to do differently? What is this? What is this? And we really want them to be able to lead this process because they are going to dedicate those number of hours. They have expertise. They've done this before. So there will definitely be things that we're asking of them. There are going to be things that we hear from the community and some of those groups that will inform how this process plays out. But we just don't have the capacity or expertise to like run a successful search. So just want to share that with folks because it has come up. Like we have so many great people here. And that is true, but we also just want to make sure that we're picking the best candidate based on the criteria that we have established and what they advise as well.
Ms. Moore, can you vent, oh, I'm sorry, were you raising your hand?
No, that was me.
Sorry. I was corner of my eye, I thought you were raising your hand. Sorry, I just had one thing, like, just looking at the rubric, because there's so many components, and obviously rushing through that, for anybody listening or interested, I did just want to say, like, things that I find, like, super valuable, and maybe if others want to, because I'm really going to talk about, moving forward, some folks have familiarity with the groups. In my kind of, like, blank slate of least experience in the process was understanding the district needs and the community engagement pieces. Obviously, if you do those really well, you'll get the sense that, there's a vision of equity and what are the top issues, what are the things we're facing. So I definitely am looking at someone that obviously values and did like a nice profile of us as a district and what we need. But I think understanding our district needs and how the community engages with us, both the staff and the families, I think is critical, because I think if anybody was to watch our meetings, from like the public comments to just, the issues that families raise in this community, I think is like, that don't get raised, that are, behind the scenes, I think are really important. So understanding community needs is really, for me, really important.
Okay, so going into concluding remarks.
Oh, wait, do we have to do the action?
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Concluding board remarks. Anybody?
Oh, board remarks?
Yeah.
I have board remarks. I'll make them fast because you're all like looking at me like you want to get out of here.
We're doing a creepy smile.
Yesterday, this is a very solemn topic. Yesterday, President Moore and Dr. Prez and I attended a press conference held by our mayor, and it was related to one of our village trustees being detained for peaceful protesting at the Broadview Detention Center, or Broadview, whatever that place is. And it was incredibly difficult to hear, and it put me in a different frame of mind with regard to the fear that people have about being abducted without due process, and certainly without being Mirandized, if that's even a thing. And secondly, the erosion of our Constitution, because we have a right to peacefully protesting. And in this village at this time, we will not stand for it. Our Constitution, and we teach our kids the Constitution, and it's part of our curriculum in middle school. We can't talk out of both sides of our mouths. Either we believe in the Constitution and we support it, or we don't. That's all I have to say.
I think just going along those lines, there are a number of families that are still in real fear. And it may not be a direct family member, but it may be somebody that you love. I have a few people in my circle that are afraid to go to work. And so I just wanted to say that, like, we hear you. We have been wrestling with this as a board, and like, what is within our purview, and how can we continue to support our families. And so there is language on our website, and we will continue to send out updates and guidance. Just reiterating that our buildings have been prepared, educated, and trained, as well as some of the after-school programs that we work with. And additional guidance will be sent out and shared with our PTOs. We're working in collaboration. The administration is working in collaboration with our PTOs to ensure that the process is clear so that people know what to do if someone approaches you. There are lots of resources and guidance, and so back to grassroots organizing, if there are things on social media, resources that you would share, we are certainly not the authority on those things. So if there are resources that you have found helpful that you feel are important to share, if you feel the need to organize with other parents, if there are things that you as we as a community want to do, we can share those things, but just also understanding like legally what our expectations are. But nonetheless, we're a community, and we're in this together, and we want to support this community as much as we can as board members within our purview. So thank you for like bringing that up. That this has been a very trying time for a lot of us. Again, just having family and friends that are experiencing this in different ways, and so yeah, just wanted to wrap my virtual hug around everybody. Thank you.
I do hope our parents are talking to kids, obviously in a developmentally appropriate way, about what's going on. I think I've been sharing a lot of the photos from Broadview with my 14-year-old, and it's hard when she asks like, why is this being allowed to happen? I honestly don't have an answer for her. And I was like, you need to ask your social studies teachers. But I think the opportunity for whatever civic engagement, and I think also the awareness that teachers and kids are going into classrooms either traumatized themselves or with kids or adults who are traumatized by some of this. I mean, we've seen the pictures of the violence that's being inflicted in our communities, and kids are witness to that. And I think it's important that we talk about civic engagement all the time, but like that kids know this is, if now is not the time to get involved, like I don't know what is. Because I think it's, and I would say like also, I'm being probably a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, but I swear, having talked to friends like across the country, like the news of what's going on in Chicago, I feel like is being suppressed. People are not aware of how bad it is in Chicago. I feel like there's more about Portland, which blows my mind, than what's going on. And so I know I've had friends tell me like the only stuff they've seen is like what I posted. And so I think it's important to have conversations in lots of different spaces about what's going on, because it blows my mind that like our National Guard is to be rolled out to like work against citizens. And so, I think it's important that everybody engage as much as possible.
I mean, I think we're creating civic, engagement by teaching our kids about what's going on in the community, what's happening to their neighbors. So I think I'm glad that you bring the conversation about like talking to our kids, because developmentally there's all sorts of ways to do that. I remember having a conversation, and my husband's a veteran, so in talking to him, he's like, these are things that, as a veteran, we've done in other places. So I think no one's immune to it, and I think being in community is going to be key. So, I think my kids aren't hearing the conversations we're having, but then like this morning, my 10-year-old was like, I'm really scared. And I said, well, what is it that you're scared of? And we're documented. He's half Puerto Rican, half Mexican, born here. And he's like, like people are being abducted. I don't remember saying that, right? And so kids are having those conversations. So a parent had asked for a resource in my district in D200, and she's also a staff member, and in looking for it, there are resources for talking to our kids, whether it's like social stories or videos, because I don't think there's a really easy way to have that conversation. And the one thing I remember saying, and hopefully like this can be applicable, was like to my 10-year-old, was like exactly how I felt yesterday. I was a little scared to be there, to be honest, to be like not anonymous anymore, not meaning that as an elected official you ever are, but being, Spanish surname and, having a presence anywhere is scary right now. So I remember saying to him, like, the good thing is we're a community that's standing up for the things that we believe in, which is, being there for our neighbors. And I think he felt reassured that we were in the right place. And my hope is that we continue to represent that, and obviously with your leadership, Jung Bin Street.
And the last call to action, I know that like people are like, well, I can't afford to get arrested. I can't protest. Maybe you just aren't physically able to protest or because of work and things. But there has been a call from food banks. A lot of people are afraid to go to work. So people are not working. People are not going to grocery stores. So there are different ways that you can protest and be a part of, you know, making things better. So our food banks are there. They're begging for donations. So if you're able to, please consider donating to a food bank or donating to one of the many causes that are fighting for like
There's like mutual aid society.
Yeah, mutual aid,
Yeah,
so-
groceries, yeah.
those are the ways that we can, you know, resist. And with that, can I get them up, like, well, we have to do board, the agenda proposed preview.
No, that's just next month's agenda items, or next week, sorry. We're a week away from another meeting.
I would just like to add to that agenda the SEIU contract, please.
That's gonna be on the 14th.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that-
on the proposed agenda.
Yeah, it's not on the proposed agenda
Oh,
for this
this
week.
we weren't sure.
Okay,
We
so
didn't have to vote for it.
I would just like.
The vote was on Saturday.
Yes. No, yeah, and I was looking ahead.
And publicly, we can start at 100% vote supporting it.
Yeah, so that we, now it's on us.
It'll be on the 14th.
It'll be on the 14th.
Can I get a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Closed session. 7:50.
Are we off the, are we